Hi, I'm Eric.
And I'm Laura. We're a couple who stepped away from the default version of success after questioning the traditional path and realizing the life we were building looked right on paper but didn't feel the way we thought it would.
Join us for honest conversations, grounded perspective, real life experiences, and a refreshing take on what it means to live life on your own terms.
I feel like stability is one of those things we're all told to go after, but no one really explains exactly what that means. We're simply taught to get the steady job, have consistent income, build something predictable, and that somehow equals safety. And for a long time, that made sense to me. Like, of course, that's what I should want. Sounds quite perfect. But I think what started to feel off was the fact that we had that. On paper, things looked stable. And I expected that to feel a certain way, but it didn't. It felt more like something we had to maintain. Like everything was fine as long as nothing changed.
Yeah, I remember that feeling too. It's really hard to explain because nothing was wrong. But it never felt as secure as I thought it would. If anything, it felt kind of fragile. Like if one thing shifted, the job, the income, whatever, it would affect everything. And that's what didn't add up for me. Why does something that's supposed to make you feel safe feel like something you can't step away from?
And I think that's where we started questioning it. And I think that's where we started questioning it more. Like, are we actually chasing safety? Or are we just chasing what we've been told is safe?
Hmm, that's hitting me at like I don't know, 6 years ago, Eric.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the safe path, the stable job, all of that. That that really hits. I would whistle, but right now I can't. Like, like that's what I was trying to think of, like how I could do that. But yeah, no, But yeah, that question was like, whew.
I mean, it makes sense, though.
Mm-hmm.
If that is what I would say the vast majority of us are taught, even if we get to a point in our lives where we question it, it doesn't mean we actually chase something different.
True.
We might just question it, assume it's a fleeting thought, and then go right back to that safe path.
Right. Don't actually act on that thought.
Or, yeah, act on that thought. Like, even if it's just exploring what it could look like,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people just never do that.
Yeah. Man. The concept of being stable as long as nothing changes brings me back to one of my first jobs. I don't know however many years ago, like 10 years ago.
Like, first job out of school.
Yeah, yeah.
First,
Not like
first career job.
first career job, exactly. Not fast food.
Right.
I was sitting at my desk and I was just doing my work, right? And one of the guys, he got called in, and I didn't think anything of it, and then he comes out and he goes, "Eric, they want to see you in the conference room." And I had just come off of what I refer to as the joint job, that bridge joint job. So this is again in the construction industry, and we didn't do so well on that project, at least not as well as the company would have liked. And I remember sitting there like, yeah, okay. So I stand up, I'm looking at my desk, and I'm like, all right, well, this is it. I don't really have a lot to pack up, so I'm getting the can. And for whatever reason, like that's what was going through my head. Like there was no other possibility in my head of what was going to happen except for I was getting fired.
What a horrible thought. Like, the fact that your mind just immediately went there, and you were what, in your early 20s?
Yeah, exactly. And it all comes back to, like, I think for me it was well, if the company doesn't do well, then they don't need me anymore.
Ooh, all right. Where did you adopt that thought from? Because think about it.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in your early 20s at your first like career job out, fresh out of school, like you were obviously taught that. You don't just have that thought yourself. Your mind doesn't just automatically go to that place, that extreme
Right.
fallout or scenario.
And I think it happened because I had seen other people at the same company like get the boot because of similar situations.
Mm.
And or they weren't performing. There was some other circumstances, but it looked like it was like, oh, the job that they were working on didn't perform as well, and well, all right, there you go. Thanks for your hard work, but here's the door, sort of thing.
So your initial thought was heavily influenced by what you saw around you.
Exactly. Obviously, that didn't happen, but the mindset of that was like, holy crap! Like, looking back on it now, there's something messed up with that.
I mean, it could be a company thing. It
Right.
could be,
Well,
could be a number of things.
yeah,
But
yeah.
like, do you, in reflecting back on that very specific moment, do you remember feeling just extreme relief when the outcome was nothing what you had essentially like told yourself it would be?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I remember going back to my desk and like just a weight was lifted off my shoulders because what the worst case scenario that I had in my head, it was not that case.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was like, oh, thanks for your hard work this year. Um, you know, you were handed a real crappy job and you made the best of it. We really appreciate you, that sort of thing. So it was like the complete opposite of what my initial reaction was. So,
Interesting.
yeah.
I mean, it's giving like conditional vibes. Like that sounds way more conditional than it does safe.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's like it's more like if the company performs and you're going to keep your job. If the company doesn't perform, well then, thanks, but that's really what it came down to in my head. But you're right. I mean, it's that conditional safety.
Which is insane because we all, at some time in our lives, whether past, present, or continuing on into the future, will view that stability as safe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not to say that there's anything wrong with it, but I don't feel that it is as transparent as it probably could be, or maybe as black and white. I don't know exactly what the right way to say that is,
yeah.
but like it's it reminds me of like the warning on your car like side mirror, like objects in mirror are closer than they appear.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like
Yeah.
it does the illusion
Yeah, exactly.
is there, but it's not necessarily like
The illusion of safety is there, but
it's exactly that. It's an illusion.
yeah.
And I have a different story than you, more about that illusion. So it's so interesting to me to hear you say that because I don't remember that coming up in conversation at all when that actually happened. I don't remember you coming home from work and telling me all about this.
Mm-hmm.
Like you, I'm sure, told me of the like positive outcome, but not necessarily like, yeah, like I was for sure like certain that this is how it was going to happen. I had told myself this whole story, but I had accepted it. So it was what it was kind of thing.
Right.
Like I don't remember that, but for my experience on the complete opposite end of that spectrum, like I don't think I had ever, prior to this moment I am about to tell you more on, I had never had that thought of like, oh, your boss wants to talk to you kind of thing, and like immediately going to that place of, I'm going to say insecurity or doubt or dread or, insert whatever negative emotion or thought might come up in that moment. Never in my life did that come up for me. And that's why getting laid off on a Tuesday in May was such a holy shit shell shock moment for me.
Yeah. I remember that.
Like, just complete and utter, like, dumbfoundedness. And, that kind of thought of, is this really happening to me? Like, just
Mm-hmm.
that out of body experience. Like, this can't be me. Like, this has got to be somebody else. I must be looking, this must be like a ghost of some past, present, or future kind of thing.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it feels like this, like, completely, like, surreal experience. And it was in that moment that I, for the first time ever, fully understood the phrase that we are all dispensable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who you are, what you do for a living, any of us could find ourselves in that position at any given moment. And it's certainly not something that I figured I'd ever experience, let alone in my, like, late 20s.
Yeah, it's a hard thing to get on a Tuesday. That, like, I remember that phone call that you called me, like, right after that happened,
Mm-hmm.
and, like, it's like, holy shit, like, what now, sort of thing.
Right.
But
And, like, it's one of those things where it's like, I had no idea how to even say such a thing to you.
mm-hmm.
And I would imagine that, one, you probably weren't expecting a phone call from me, like, on a Tuesday morning when I should have been working, when you were working. But I'm sure you had no clue what to even say to me. Because it was completely out of left field. Like, I don't think I've ever gotten such news, like, out of left field as I did in that moment.
Yeah, I'm sure that I said something to the effect of, we'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that's the only thing I can think of that I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously this was however many years ago,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm fairly confident that something along those lines was what came out of my mouth. Like, this sucks,
Mm-hmm.
and, we'll figure it out, when I get home, that sort of thing.
That was actually literally like 10 years ago, like,
Coming
in
next
May.
month.
Yeah.
Oh,
Fascinating.
wow.
Full circle.
How time flies.
But,
Man.
it's so interesting because, like, I followed, up until that point, like, I had followed the very traditional path, the very stable path,
Mm-hmm.
and it literally changed overnight and made me realize that stability does not equal security,
Ooh,
right?
that's a heavy hitter right
It
there.
is. We're just gonna end the episode right
Yeah,
here.
right.
Done. But it wasn't. It was not, like, there was nothing secure about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think. I mean, I'm sure that realization came a lot sooner because it was something that I had experienced firsthand versus just, somebody I knew that had experienced it or heard about somebody experiencing it. But for me, like, up until that point, stability, this stable illusion, the only thing that was creating was dependence.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people may hear that and say, oh, wow, like, I can relate to that. But, like, think about it. If you are going to a job working for somebody else,
Mm-hmm.
you're depending on, they're depending on you to show up and do your job. You're depending on them to pay you.
And to keep your job.
And to keep your job.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know if that's codependency or what.
Right.
It does not seem like a healthy situation. But, it's interesting because for me, like, I can talk about that situation and laugh about it now. Like, at the time, like,
10 years later.
yeah, 10 years later. Thanks. At the time, like, it was a deep wound because, for me, it wasn't just another job. Like, I had left a job for that job because I really believed in what I was doing, believed in the work that was being done, the environment and the people. Like, it was
it was something that as far as I remember, that you enjoyed.
It was something that I truly enjoyed. And like, so it wasn't just about losing a job. It was like losing, I don't want to say a family, but like it was losing people that like you had kind of like come up with and immersed yourselves into each other's lives. And
Mm-hmm.
so like it was a hard pill to swallow, but the number of blessings that came out of that situation, like I would not be the woman that I am today, the business owner that I am today, the partner that I am today if I hadn't gone through that. It
Mm.
was such a pivotal part of my story, and it's honestly something that I am truly grateful for, because we, not just me, but like we had a lot to figure out coming out of that.
I mean, like I said, we would figure it out
Right.
at that point. And you're 100% correct in that. Like it at the time you're in that situation, you can't think of anything that is positive.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, looking back on it, like it's a really good thing that's what happened.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And aside from the obvious like experience and like skills that I would have learned doing that work, for us it really made us realize like stability didn't mean what we thought it did. And the only way that we were essentially going to change our mindset or our relationship with stability was to completely redefine it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I mean, the top thing I can think of is like realizing that one source of income, I don't want to say is the stupidest thing you could rely on, but like I'm at a loss for more eloquent words here. But like just realizing that like one source of income is not this stable, safe, overly smart approach.
Yeah, like what I was saying is, you know, if the company doesn't perform, then again, it's not a guaranteed like you're coming to work the next day sort of
Mm-hmm.
thing. Um, if your company decides to move locations and you're not ready to follow them, well then, you know, that's a whole other situation. You know, there's so many different paths that can lead to your single income
Mm-hmm.
not being that single income anymore.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm a huge believer in multiple sources of income,
Mm-hmm.
and that is something that we have really been focusing on for years. And it's just that kind of like, you know, old phrase of not putting all your eggs in one basket, because that's what I did.
Right.
And I was very fortunate that I had you, and together we were able to figure things out. But like that very well could have been a different situation.
I think one of the biggest things that we learned out of that was just learning to pivot,
Mm-hmm.
right?
God, I feel like my life has been a pivot. Like every time I say that word, you say that word, my mind automatically goes to the Friends
Oh,
episode
yes.
where Ross, Rachel, and Chandler are taking this couch up a staircase that is not big enough for the couch. And Ross is just repeatedly, like, as the scene goes on, screaming, pivot,
Pivot.
pivot. And it's just so hilarious, but also I feel like that is life sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, like one of the most valuable lessons you can learn in life, regardless of the situation from which the lesson is learned, is to pivot. Life can change at any moment. Your situation, your relationship, your finances,
Your health.
your health,
Yeah.
like it can all change at any point. So learning to pivot when necessary and being okay with that. For me, like a phrase that always comes to mind, which actually came from a client in my first business, was the phrase let go and let God. And the way that I interpret that is there are things in life that we can 100% control.
Mm-hmm.
the inputs to ourselves, whether it's the information we choose to absorb, the food we put into our bodies, how we move our bodies. There are things that are within our control.
Yeah.
But there are things that are so far beyond our control. The first coming to mind is plans. Anytime we've made a plan, it's just like joke's on us because it never goes according to plan. So that's kind of how I interpret that, but just like being comfortable with the fact that there are things that are outside of our control, but knowing when to actually pivot is just it's a lifelong lesson that like just continues to prove valuable because it honestly continues to show up.
So what you're saying is like being able to be flexible in life.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Another thing I think that was really key for me in kind of redefining what stability meant is learning transferable skills.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So this I'm actually going to turn to you to talk on because I feel like as a veteran and somebody who has been in the military, you hear it all the time that, somebody goes into the military and their job in the military does not transfer into a civilian job.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for you, you were very fortunate that what you chose at 18 is not what you're doing 20 plus years later.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, there's so many examples. The first one that comes to my mind of this is the guys who load bombs onto planes, the ordnancemen, or I don't even know if that's what they're called, but they essentially load things onto planes. How?
I mean, loading luggage on the plane? That
right?
Feels like a step down.
Right,
But...
exactly. So, but like, there's not really a whole lot that can go from military life to civilian life in that instance. Same thing with infantry. A couple of guys that I've worked with is that they've said that same thing. They were infantry in the army, and what you learn there doesn't really go into
your post-military life.
Exactly. Short of like going into law enforcement, but not everyone wants to do that. Mm-hmm. So it's a difficult skill or a difficult skill to transfer. Mm-hmm. Like you said, I was very fortunate. I chose to pick a job for the Navy that was construction based, and that's literally what I've been doing for the last 20 years, ever since I joined the Navy. Mm-hmm. Very transferable skills. You need to have, there is construction literally everywhere in this country. I think unknowingly it was probably one of the best decisions I've made.
At 18,
At
imagine
18.
that.
And the only reason I decided to go into that job was because there was a big sign-on bonus, and that was literally it. My recruiter said,
"Money."
Well, he goes, "Well, what do you like to do?" And he starts listing all these jobs and what they do, and he was really trying to push me in one direction because of my test scores, and I said absolutely not, because I'm not spending another 2 years in school to just do that job. And then he came across this, what I did was like concrete and building and all of those types of things. I said, that's something I can do. And he goes, oh well, great, well let's do that. And oh yeah, by the way, there's a big sign-on bonus for you too.
So that obviously didn't hurt.
Oh yeah, exactly.
At 18.
At 18, right. All I saw was like, oh,
money.
But I mean, it is like you said. I mean, I've been in it for 20 years now, mm-hmm. and I'm still going. Mm-hmm. So I would say that it's worked out for me. Mm-hmm. Obviously, not everyone can say that, but to learn skills regardless of what industry you're in, whether you're in manufacturing, go and talk to some IT guys or gals. Learn something from them, and then bring it home with you. Keep learning. read books, listen to podcasts on anything and everything, and see what doors can be opened with that.
Well, that's such an important point. Learning transferable skills does not have to only be on the job.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that is something that is within your control.
Yeah.
You get to choose what input goes into your brain via trainings, books, podcasts, events, etc.
Right.
So I love that. I absolutely love that. The other thing for me was, you had touched on this earlier, like coming off of my situation, like we really had to learn how to figure things out, and we did.
Mm-hmm.
And that alone is just such an invaluable lesson, in my opinion. But how that specifically played out for us was we went overnight from a 2-income household down to a 1-income household. And it forced us not from a place of desperation. It just made it so that like I wanted to get crystal clear on where our money was actually going. And so it allowed us to really focus on creating a budget on that single income versus the fact that we had no budget on 2 incomes previously.
Yeah.
Like I don't even want to begin to think about
so much money spent eating out. Oh my God.
just I don't want to think about like where our money went prior to actually having that budget. And again, that's something that we have to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Not because we have to, but because we choose to. Because I want to know where, as the budget handler, I want to know where our money is going. But like we have goals now and for our future, and the only way to get crystal clear, not just on those, but also to actually move forward on the path of achieving them, is to get crystal clear on where our money goes.
Yeah, I mean, it has been a complete game changer. I mean, like I said, so much money spent on like eating out, and now
we don't eat out.
Now we
really
don't eat
at
out
all.
at all. Yeah.
I think that comes with maturity.
I think so too, yeah.
But, all in all, like, I will say safety was something that started to feel like it started to feel less like something we were given and more like something we could actually create.
Ooh.
Right?
That's good.
Thank you.
I know. Man, mic drop after mic drop moment.
Episode
here.
done.
Yeah.
No. But really it's it's one of those things that it's so easy to fall in the trap of taking it for granted.
Mm-hmm.
And then feeling like your life is falling apart when it gets pulled out from underneath you.
That's the analogy I was just thinking of. The rug being
pulling
pulled
out the rug?
Yeah, pulling out the rug from underneath you. Yeah.
So true, though.
So good.
Yeah. So, as always, we don't just want this to be a really good conversation. We want you to walk away with something you can actually take and apply to your life right now.
One of those things is really asking yourself, where in your life does stable feel heavy instead of supportive? Stability is one of those things that's supposed to feel grounding, but sometimes it does feel like pressure, like something you have to maintain even if it's really not working anymore. That can look like staying in something because it feels too risky to leave, feeling anxious at the thought of stepping away, needing things to go a certain way just to feel okay. With those, just pay attention to those feelings and ask yourself, is my version of stability giving me peace or just something to hold on to?
Whew. That's a good question to ask
Right?
oneself. So on that note, what this actually looks like in practice, it's important to notice where you feel tension in your day-to-day. This could be something like the Sunday scaries, dread about something at work, something that's going on the next day, or even pressure to perform. Make sure you're paying attention to where you feel like you can't make a different choice. We're going to start naming it honestly. Simply saying this doesn't feel supportive, it just feels familiar, is so key. And honestly, I think awareness is that first shift. You don't have to change anything yet. You really just have to see it clearly.
Man, it's like you're talking directly to me.
I think I'm talking to myself
Yeah.
too.
Ooh, sheesh. My goodness.
I know, as we're going through this episode, I'm like, I wasn't expecting this to hit me so
I
hard.
know. Oh my goodness. And
It's a banger.
And we wrote it too.
Right?
Another thing to ask yourself is, what are you depending on to feel safe? Is your sense of security tied to your job? Is it the paycheck? A specific outcome going a certain way? Now, there's nothing wrong with those things, but if your safety only exists as long as those things don't change, it can start to feel fragile. So ask yourself this: if it changed tomorrow, would I feel like I could handle it? And how you answer that question will really tell you a lot.
So, specifically, what this looks like in practice, mentally walk through the what if. What if this job changed? What if this plan didn't work out? And really take notice of your reaction. Is it panic, avoidance, or a grounded, I would figure it out? You can also start really focusing on building small forms of independence here. This can look like learning new skills, exploring other income options, or having conversations you maybe have been avoiding. The goal here isn't to remove the thing, it's to reduce how much your entire sense of safety depends on it.
Man.
Am I still talking to you?
Yeah, seriously. Oh, gosh. I'm going to have to re-listen to this episode.
Right?
Myself, my goodness.
Take some notes.
Yeah. Another thing would be, what would feeling quote-unquote safe actually look like for you? Not what you've been told it should look like, but what it would feel like in your day-to-day life. Is it more control over your time? More flexibility? More trust in yourself? Get super specific here, because stable and safe, they aren't always the same thing.
And what this looks like in practice really starts with defining it in your own words. Something as simple as, I would feel safe if I had blank. I would feel safe if my days looked like blank. Compare those answers to your current life. Are those things present in your life right now? Or are you chasing a version of safety that doesn't match what you actually need? From there, you can start making small adjustments toward that feeling. Things such as creating more space in your schedule, setting better boundaries, or prioritizing flexibility where you can. Because here, you're not simply guessing anymore. You're building towards something that actually matters to you. You hanging in there, Eric?
Yeah.
I just hear you going like, huh.
Yeah, right? Like,
Drop the mic again.
Yeah, there's like 8 of them in this episode. So, where might you be outsourcing your sense of security? Is it a job, a title, a plan, a timeline? These are all things that feel solid but aren't fully in your control.
Don't I know it for all of those?
This isn't about getting rid of those things. It's about noticing how much of your confidence is coming from them versus how much is coming from you.
And what this looks like in practice, it's really important to start catching those thoughts that may come up for you. Things like, I'll feel better when blank happens. Or, as long as this stays the same, I'm okay. Ask yourself, do I really trust this situation? Or do I trust myself within it? From there, start building that internal trust. This looks like making small decisions and actually following through on them. Handling something uncertain instead of automatically avoiding it. and reminding yourself of times in your life where you figured things out before. Because real security starts to build when you realize that even if things change, I can handle it.
Again, mic drop.
At the end of the day, this isn't about whether your job is good or bad, or whether your life looks stable from the outside. It's about whether it actually feels that way to you. Because we've learned that you can have all the right pieces in place and still feel one change away from everything unraveling.
And on the flip side, you can have uncertainty and still feel grounded because you trust yourself to handle it. That's the shift. Moving from depending on something outside of you to feel secure to knowing you can create that for yourself.
And that doesn't happen all at once. It happens in the small moments where you follow through, you figure things out, and you prove to yourself that you're capable. So maybe stability isn't about holding everything together perfectly. Maybe it's about knowing that even if things change, you'll be okay. If this episode resonated with you, a couple quick things you can do that really help us out. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so you don't miss the next episode. If you haven't yet, we'd really appreciate you leaving a review. It helps more people who are feeling this way actually find these conversations.
And if someone came to mind while you were listening, send this episode to them. These are the kinds of conversations most people aren't having out loud. And if you want to stay connected with us outside of the podcast, you can find us over on Instagram and Facebook at The Traveling Burns, where we share more of these conversations, real-life moments, and the behind the scenes of what this lifestyle actually looks like.
Thank you for being here. We're Eric and Laura, and this is The Road Less Traveled with The Traveling Burns, where we have honest conversations about challenging the default path and what it really means to live differently. We'll see you in the next episode.